Happy Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. And this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm, and I'm so excited to be here tonight with Alice Coleman. Hello, Alice.
Hello, Norm.
Alice, who, I'm proud to call a good friend. She's free to characterize it however she wants. And really, like I wrote in the little promo thing, one of the nicest people in the whole damn town. And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm like, you really are. Fucking own it. You're like, well, I'm judgy. I'm like, well, I thought that was just for me and my bullshit. But you're so damn sweet and delightful. And thank you for finally saying yes to coming in and talking.
Oh, my God. You're relentless. I finally had to give in.
Yeah. Well, it works for me historically.
Okay.
So we were talking just before the 5 o'clock hour rolled up about the holidays.
Indeed.
And one of your kids is back in New York City. The other kid is still at home. What were the highlights of the holidays for you?
Oh, the highlights of our holiday was we did something different. Usually we spend the holidays with the family, getting on the road early in the morning to drive down to Stamford, Connecticut. And this year, nobody wanted to drive. And so we stayed home and slept as late as we wanted and stayed in our pajamas and, ate whatever we wanted to eat. And it was just, frankly, magical. I
love that. And who was the prime mover in this mutiny? This Yuletide mutiny. Was it you?
I don't know, maybe.
Because kids, they're like teenager-ish ages, are usually pretty, you can count on them, be like, oh, do we have to go?
Totally. I think I may have, worked it a little bit. They were like, yeah, no, we don't want to drive either.
And who was left behind? Who was in Stamford? Who was cursing your name?
Exactly. They curse my name whether I'm there or not. So I have two brothers and their families, and my mother, who's 91 and not entirely there, and some extraneous other people join. But the girls and I went down to White Plains, which is where my mother lives, and we threw a little early Christmas Eve party ourselves. And we did a little exchange of books and ate chocolate and brought lots of different food. And one of my brothers was available in his family, so they joined, and we had a few extraneous others. So we did celebrate with the family on Christmas Eve.
Oh, that's sweet. And then actual Christmas Day, of all the people who were there in Stamford, how many of them do you think really secretly wished that they had done the same thing that you all did?
Half of them.
So I'll bet you it's more than that. Yeah, I think people, get to a certain age, it's like, what? You mean I could just stay home? I don't have to go to that. I don't have to dress up. So what did you all do? You said you woke up whenever you wanted. What time is that?
Well, I woke up earlier because I still had things to get done. And both my kids, I think, slept till 10, and then one slept till 11. So,
And you exchanged gifts. Did you get anything that you were really thrilled to get?
I have to say, my kids, over the year, I've been a single mom with this. So we've been a posse for a really long time. Yeah. So, almost 15 years. So my kids have gotten really good at the nuances of giving me gifts. So, and I mean, they each give me stocking stuffers, and, I'm a total Korean drama fan, and so I get Korean skincare, and I get face masks, and I get chocolate, and I've gotten books, and I get wool socks, and gosh, what am I forgetting? There's so many other things.
And what does that mean, a Korean drama fan?
You don't want to know. It's a rabbit hole. So I can thank Kyla Hart, who, during the pandemic when we were playing tennis, a safe distance from each other, kept coming into the tennis court talking about this drama that was keeping up her night. And, after the third, time that we played tennis.
A TV show or a Netflix thing?
It was a series. And I was like, okay, just give me the show. And I literally have been hooked since. And I have to say, 90% of the shows that I watch nowadays is Korean dramas. In fact, there's a group of us, we call ourselves the Korean drama junkies. We have a little WhatsApp thread.
The Korean drama queens.
Yeah, totally.
And so what was the first show that you started watching?
Crash Landing on You.
Crash Landing on
You.
You.
Yes, for all you people looking for a new show out there. Check
Crash
it out.
Landing on You.
Yeah.
And is it on Netflix? Or?
Crash Landing on You at the time was, I don't know if it still is, but I mean, Netflix has a slew of them, which are all just equally as amazing. Yeah.
And what is this? What is the story? Is it still on Crash Landing on You?
Oh, for sure.
So
Totally.
it's like up to episode 600 or something.
Oh no, I'm sorry. So let me explain. So no, I'm meaning like I thought you were asking whether
Oh,
it's
I
still
see.
available. Yes,
Sorry,
it's still
sorry.
available. No, so part of like the Korean drama. I'm totally geeking out here for, you know. So Korean dramas, for the most part, are 16 episodes, and there's
Oh.
a really beautiful beginning. There's this really juicy middle, and there's this super satisfying ending. And very rarely do they go on to like a second season. Very rarely. So like you can kind of get like this prolonged sort of entanglement of, you know, getting to know characters, and, you know, the emotional depth is just mind blowing. I have to give Koreans, you know, the Korean TV and also the movie industry such the ability to catch like the nuances of, you know, emotional intelligence. And you just get so hooked. And it's so satisfying. Like I have to say, like, watching a lot of American shows, you kind of walk away and you're like, yeah, no, that was good. Oh, it was kind of interesting. Oh, you know, so-and-so looked good. But Korean dramas, like all of us are like, I just finished, you know, Twinkling Watermelon. I'm still crying, you know.
Twinkling Watermelon
yeah,
Knife.
that is one that many of us just finished.
So I'm guessing, I mean, if they're that popular, that there's always a new show coming up.
Yeah, the Koreans have mastered the art of mass production, and you know, it's not just a, you know, geeky few in the U.S. It's like all over the globe. There's just this huge fan base of watchers. And also K-pop. Everybody knows, you know, K-pop is huge too. That's the music.
And so how many of these shows do you reckon you've seen by now?
Oh, damn.
Damn, yeah.
Put on the spot. Gosh. Definitely over 100.
100 different shows.
Sure.
And what'd you say, 16 episodes per show?
Oh, don't do the math. It's like,
Yeah, well, I'm really bad at math, so I've never
Okay,
come
good.
up with 1,600.
We'll just let that go.
And how long is each episode? I'm going to do more math.
it's about an hour.
So that's 1.6 million hours of TV, if my math is correct. Yeah, and it almost always is. What a blast! And do you watch them? Do your kids watch them?
Maisie watches them with me sometimes.
Did you watch any Christmas Day?
No, we watch bad Christmas movies on Christmas Day.
Such as
Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation.
right,
Yeah.
right. I don't think I've ever seen that.
You no need to.
It looks really, really dopey.
It's really dopey.
I saw this Thanksgiving Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I'd never
Oh,
seen
that's
before.
great.
Steve Martin and John Candy,
That's great.
which is sort of a holiday flick. It's a warm, sweet ending.
Yeah.
So you stayed in, and you said you were all in your jammies.
Yeah. Okay, so the truth about where are we now? January 3rd. And so I'm gonna confess that this is a really tough time of year for me. And I don't mean it like from a heartache standpoint. I just mean from like an endurance standpoint. So we also celebrate Hanukkah. So it's Christmas, it's Hanukkah.
Is Hanukkah done by now?
Hanukkah just finished.
Okay.
My youngest just had her birthday on the 30th, and my oldest has her birthday on January 9th. So it sort of feels like it's a marathon of like, find presents, wrap, entertain, bake, cook. You know, so I'm sort of like coming to this coasting end of that time period, and I cannot wait January 10th.
Why January 10th?
Because Maisie will turn 24 on January 9th.
24? Oh, my goodness. And she's the one living down in Brooklyn somewhere?
She's in the city. She lives in Chelsea.
Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Money-making Manhattan. Yeah. What is she doing down there?
Maisie is a chemical engineer analyst. She consults for energy companies, mostly sustainable chemicals. So like an energy company will hire her company to give insights on various chemicals or environmental impacts, and they generate reports. She's not enjoying it as much as one would hope.
Oh, well, that happens.
Yeah.
Is she, can you even discuss this? I mean, I'm sure her employers are not listening. Is she looking for a better position somewhere?
She is keeping her eyes out. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the problem really is, and this is, is that I have like all these stories of when my first job, and my children are like, that's what I want my first job to be.
Oh, geez. All right. What was your first job?
My first real job, I shouldn't say. I did graduate, and I moved out to Wisconsin for a year to follow a boyfriend. That was a big mistake.
You moved to Wisconsin?
I did.
To follow a boyfriend? What was his name?
Doug Buck.
Oh, my God. I'm following Doug Buck. It's just like testosterone city. Doug Buck.
Doug Buck.
So you followed him from where?
From graduating college in Connecticut.
Okay, so college in Connecticut, and Doug Buck got a gig in Wisconsin somewhere.
Doug Buck was going to law school in Wisconsin, but he was from Wisconsin, so it was like his home base.
Uh-huh.
And we moved to Madison, and basically everybody in Madison, Wisconsin is either like born there or they go to school there. And so there is not really like this expat culture, or there wasn't at the time. And so I was totally an outsider, and I got some of the strangest jobs. I mean, it was cool. I'm glad I did it, but...
What kinds of gigs did you get in Madison?
I ended up, I was a graphic design major in college, and I ended up, working for this graphic design, this guy who worked independently, and he just needed like a sidekick to come up with ideas and do some layouts. And so I did some gig work with him. And then I worked in a jewelry studio as a silversmith, like sleeve, where I had to sit all day and solder like earrings to the post to the backing. It was brutal.
Like an assembly line.
Total assembly line.
Eesh.
Yeah, for anybody who wanted to like work in jewelry, that best way to get like become a buzzkill.
Yeah.
And then I worked at a check printing company, and I was in the graphic department where we did the little logos on the checks.
Little logos on the checks?
Yeah.
How many different logos were there?
Well, there are all these like, different banks and credit unions, and they all had like logos that had to be cleaned up and placed. And
I see.
Yeah.
And this was before you could get checks with like kittens on them and stuff like that.
Yeah. Kind of. Damn, dated.
What's that?
You just dated me.
I just dated you. Well, the checks with kittens really only just happened in 2020, I think.
No.
Yeah. And so what happened? You stayed there for a year. I'm guessing that somehow things didn't work out with Mr. Buck.
Correct.
How did that fall apart?
Because when he was at school, he had to apply for like clerkships.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, "Well, where should we live?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Where should we live?" He's like, "Well, when I graduate, like we're gonna have to like pick a city where we're gonna live." And I'm like, "Oh." And he's like, "Well, we are gonna get married, and we are gonna go move in together somewhere, right?" I'm like, "Marriage?" And I'm like, and I totally imploded, and I was like, I'm only 22. I don't know if I want to get married yet. And he got really angry, and he was like, "Well, why are we together if we're not going to get married?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know."
And did he end up meeting somebody and getting married?
Well, of course he did. But like the way it ended is that, I was like, I can't marry you, and I want to move to New York and then have a career. So I moved home to New York.
You didn't want to stay in Wisconsin and be a housewife to a lawyer?
No. And no.
No.
Not that lawyer. Let's put it that way.
Not that lawyer. So there were other issues.
Yeah, yes.
With Doug Buck.
To say the least. Sure.
And did you all keep in touch? Are you Facebook friends?
Well, he sent me a Christmas card. Yes, we're Facebook friends and Instagram friends, and I got a Christmas card from him, and he recently got divorced.
So of course you got a Christmas card.
No, I've been getting Christmas cards from him for a while.
You've been getting Christmas cards from ex-boyfriends for the last 20 years.
My kids are like, "Doug Buck sent a Christmas card."
I'm glad it's not just me that gets a little glee out of his name.
Yeah, my friends do too.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when's the last time you saw him, in person?
Oh, we had lunch, gosh, probably anywhere between, 7-10 years ago in New York City. He was visiting.
Right.
And he hadn't changed a bit. I was like, dude, it's exactly the same.
Wow.
He had that kind of laugh where he was like, "Yuck, yuck, 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 yuck."
I hope he's listening and texts you. How dare you mock my laugh like that? Well, I can't imagine that you've changed very much either.
Oh, stop.
No. Did you say don't stop? Don't stop. Yeah, no, I mean, you really, and everybody must tell you this, and for the radio audience listening at home, the thousands of people, Alice looks very, very nicely preserved. A beautiful woman who looks like you really haven't aged since you were like 18.
Oh, stop. Stop.
And he's probably somewhere like saying the same thing. Like, yeah, man, Alice.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely reached out to tell me that he got divorced, but I haven't, he hasn't been like, I'm flying to New York, let's have lunch. There has not been a
Right. And does he have kids of his own?
Yeah, he's two.
2 kids. And you've got the 2 kids who are more or less out of the house. One of them is doing this chemical stuff. And what is the other one? I'm guessing the younger one doing.
Aspen is a first year in college.
Aspen, what a great name. Yeah. And this is Aspen Coleman.
Correct.
Right. And what are they doing in college?
Aspen does not know yet.
And where's Aspen in college?
Oh, Bryn Mawr College in Philadelphia.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, really loving it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And first year, so that means it's been like 1 semester.
Yes.
Unless they're on some sort of weird 3-semester trimester thingy, which is I never quite got.
No.
Huh.
Wait, did you notice I said first year? It's an all-women's school because we can't say fresh men.
Can you say fresh person?
You could, but you'd be out of tune.
I understand.
Yeah.
Fresh woman.
No. First year.
Fresh human, but it's spelled M-Y-N.
No.
No, none of the above. First year and loving it. What courses were especially interesting?
Sociology, tap.
Tap dance?
Oh, Aspen's a big dancer, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Tap dance. How long is Aspen going to be around?
I mean, at home?
Yeah.
I was like, I hope Aspen's going to live for many, many years. Aspen will be here through mid-January.
I'm hatching a plan with some friends to do a little like tap dance surprise.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I can't even, I shouldn't even said that. Like a group of friends doing a little tap dance routine as a surprise for the birthday person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't ask questions because it's a surprise.
We've got like 8 months to like choreograph it and figure it out. And I figure I'm good for like 20 to 20 seconds worth of routine.
Yeah. That's all you
After
need.
that.
Yeah.
Right. You and I danced a routine not too long ago.
Or yes, or the little flash mob of Bollywood. Yes.
Yeah. It was so much fun.
So much fun.
And are you a dancer? Were you?
Never. No.
No.
No, I was an athlete, I have to say.
And when were you an athlete?
High school, I had 11 varsity letters.
Wow, wait a minute. Not so fast, Missy.
Yeah,
That's a lot of varsity letters. I think I had a half of one.
Oh.
And you're like, well, you technically earned it, but no, they ripped it in half.
Oh.
So what were the letters in?
Field hockey, diving, and lacrosse.
Wow. And what kind of diving?
Springboard, 1 meter.
Okay, so that's the one that they have like in the Star Park, the swimming pool right here.
Yeah, exactly.
In town.
Exactly.
That's 1 meter.
Yeah.
It's so high.
It's really high when you jump really high and then you do something and then you don't land either on your feet or on your hands. It's really high. Especially.
And so you competed for your high school. Was there any thought of like competing in college?
I think when one sort of looks at different colleges that one's going to apply to and the conversations you have with your parents and your college advisor, they're like, oh, look at this school that has a diving team.
Right.
I applied early to a school that did not have a diving team. Obviously, that was my very passive-aggressive way of saying I do not want to do any more diving. It's really stressful. It's a lot of work. And
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, so looking back on your diving career, your shortish diving career, your high school diving career, were there things that stand out, particular dives that you still remember? Like, I can't fucking believe I nailed that thing.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean,
Well,
I have dreams. Like, I have diving
This is
dreams.
what I'm asking about. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, I had several that I could nail. So an inward 1.5, which is where you're standing backwards on the end of a board.
So your toes are on the board, your
Yeah.
heels are over the water.
Yes.
I'm terrified already.
And then you jump and you do one full rotation and a half rotation so that you end up diving into the water.
It's like a 270.
Yeah, I could do that in tuck and in pike, which means
Tuck and pike is where your legs aren't bent.
your legs are straight. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And that seems really, to me, like the kind of thing where you're hitting the board.
Potentially. However, you can actually see the board. You can kind of sort of gauge how far you are. Like, you can abort mission pretty quickly if you know. Like, when you leave the springboard, you can feel sort of where you are and where you aren't. However, there's something called a reverse, which everybody who's watched the Olympics, where you go forward, you jump, and you go in the air, and then you go backwards. That is where you can't really necessarily gauge where the board is, and that's where you often like nick or hit. I have not, but it's I could do that as a 1.5 too, but that was really scary.
Uh-huh.
And then generally those you sort of overcompensate by pushing yourself out farther.
And so if you're doing this pike dive and you're aboard mission, what does that mean? You like pull into a tuck position to make yourself smaller? Or?
You flail generally.
Flail.
You kind of just
I can do that. So do you still go to pools and
no,
show off a little bit?
no.
How come? If I could do that, I would totally be the obnoxious old guy at the Rhinebeck Town pool. And like, well, yeah, he's really obnoxious, but look at that tuck position. He's so good.
I think in my 20s, like, you know, like Caddyshack, when like, you know, the blonde girl like goes out and, you know, does like the 3 meter, you know, swan dive. I did that probably in my 20s, but not now, Norm. No. I have
Never.
a different relationship with bathing suits now.
A different relationship with bathing suits? Like, and did you ever have wardrobe malfunctions in competitive diving?
No, you know, those, you know, racing do
Like
Speedos
one
are like,
pieces, that sort
they're
of
like
things.
stapled onto you. They're so tight. Yeah.
I love that. So diving, you got 8 letters in diving. You got 3 letters in field hockey.
4 letters in diving.
4, okay. And what was the third sport?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
And that I played first year in college.
That's a dangerous ass sport too.
Yeah.
I've watched lacrosse, and it's like, how does it happen that people are not always getting hit in the face by this mallet? What is it called?
Stick.
A stick. Yeah. It looks really mean. It looks like some sort of a weapon from,
Yeah.
early Americans.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, it is a Native American sport.
There you go.
A really good friend of mine actually is Native American, and she is a big lacrosse player. And she's actually been working on the Haudenosaunee team to essentially establish them as a national Native American tribe and as their independent
Right.
country, so that they can compete in the 2028 Olympics as a independent.
2028?
Yeah.
I love
that
that
right? Yes, 2028.
story.
Yeah.
What a great story that is.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the tribe?
Haudenosaunee.
Haudenosaunee.
And she's going to call me out and be like, "You
That's
fucking
not
said
how
it
it's
wrong."
pronounced. But, it's probably a fairly small tribe. I mean, I don't know what a small tribe is, 10,000.
No, so
members
that's the lacrosse league, which means that there are other tribes that feed into it. So it's pulls from tribes across the country, and that's
Okay.
the name of the tribal team or the association.
Okay. But I love that. Whatever they're pulling from, it's not like the 8 billion Americans or whatever.
No.
who are
No, it's
playing
Native
lacrosse.
American.
So it's a much smaller
Yeah.
pool of talent.
Yeah.
And which means statistically it's like harder to compete with a much larger pool of talent, which is like the white settler, the colonial Americans, let's call them.
I guess so, but they're amazing lacrosse players.
But when
They're practically born with little lacrosse sticks in their hands. I kid you not.
when they push their sovereignty, then they get to go to the Olympics. They
Yes.
get and I love that story so much. Huh. worth watching. And so, and where is this friend of yours? Where does she live?
She lives in Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
She is part of the Mohawk tribe. Now, this is the name where I'm going to stumble. Oh, damn. She's going to be so mad at me. What was Sabernaki?
She might be mad at you, but you know she might also understand. Like, oh yeah, fucking people like have
No,
trouble
she's gonna be mad at
pronouncing
me.
these things.
Rainey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't remember how to pronounce it.
And so, are there different positions in lacrosse? Like, you know, like in soccer, there's
totally.
a center and
Yeah.
midfield or
Yeah.
fullback. I don't even know what that goalie.
Yeah.
And which position did you play?
Offensive wing, a scorer, sprinter and scorer.
Sprinter and scorer. Huh.
Come on.
And are there moments of you know, youthful triumph that you dream about in lacrosse too, or it's just diving?
No, it's all been channeled into tennis.
Tennis? You
Yeah.
play tennis?
Come on. I don't know, Norm. Do I play tennis?
You do. You're really good.
Well, I'm all right.
Well, you know, you're a wonderful player. You've got a good attitude. You're happy to be there. You know, you're not kicking yourself all the time.
Not all the time, but I
which
think
is unpleasant.
Correct.
I mean, I'm sure you played with people who are like yelling at themselves and
Oh,
kicking
for sure.
themselves, and it's
For
like,
sure.
oh God, stop it! We're here to have fun. Yeah, you're a delightful tennis player.
Oh, thank you, Norm.
And how often do you play?
I play 2 to 3 times a week.
Uh-huh.
And I actually have to give you a lot of credit. Yeah, because we've played before, and were watching my serving at some point. This was probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
7, 8 years ago.
Was it 7, 8 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And you said, hey, I gotta give you something, and I want to show you. And so you took out a really old racket that I don't even think it had like a, you know, a grip on it.
Yeah, no, it was terrible.
And
I still have it.
And you do?
Yeah.
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
And then you took me out to your backyard.
Yeah.
And you said, throw the racket directly up in the air, right in front of you.
Straight over your head.
Straight over your head, and let it go. That kind of blew my mind. And then we kept doing it until I could do it. And he's like, that's the way your serve should
It's
be.
an amazing exercise.
And I think about it all the time. And I have to say, if like any of my, friends were here, they'd be like, Alice has got a really nice serve.
You do.
Oh, yeah, I have a friend right here. It's you.
Yeah, who can testify. Yeah, you lovely, delightful game. So when did you take up tennis? You didn't play that in high school or college?
No. So my father was a tennis player, and he very enthusiastically, like forced my brothers and I to do clinics when we were younger, like in the broiling sun, at 90 plus, degrees. And, of course, how many tennis players came out of that? None.
Right.
So we all learned the fundamentals.
Right.
And
learned the pain associated with.
Yeah. And then Jamie Keibel, who, obviously Reinbecker, former Reinbecker, she and I essentially, I guess met in 5th grade, besties right off the bat.
And where was that?
That was at Riverdale
Country School.
Riverdale Country School.
And did she play field hockey?
She did.
Or did she dive?
No.
Right.
Yeah, but those are the later years. The earlier years are.
And let's just talk about Jamie and honor the memory of Jamie.
Honor the memory of Jamie.
She passed away 4, 5, 6 years ago.
5 years ago, this past June.
And she introduced us.
She did.
She said, "Oh, my friend's moving up. You should really meet her." And I said, "Well, I'd love to meet her." She said she plays tennis. I'm like, really? Because I knew Jamie through tennis, and she also had a great game, a strong game.
And she's fun.
And she was so fun.
So fun to play with.
She swore a lot. And it's like, oh, you're my kind of people. Yeah. And so she was a friend of yours in elementary school and high school. And you moved up here because of her?
Totally.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And how did that happen? Where were you living? Why were you open to moving?
So Jamie and I had always, we were always in touch. So it wasn't, even before Jamie moved up here, I obviously hung out with her. So she called. I was living in Westchester at the time, and she called me up, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to be driving by." I'm like, "Oh, where are you going?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go look at some property." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I want to buy like a swath of acreage, and I want to build houses so all my friends could go live on it. You want to go live on my property?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I want to do."
Love that.
Love that. And then, they were looking at different areas, but then they found a spot up here in
a swath of property here in Rhinebeck.
And it really is a swath of property.
And yeah, she bought 8 billion acres here in Rhinebeck. Did she end up building houses for anybody other than her family?
No, and I was hoping. I don't think Michael talked about it when he was here. No,
it's Michael DeCola.
Yeah, Michael DeCola.
It was an amazing interview, and one of a small handful of interviews I had. If you're listening, Michael, we got to get together. I was like, I want to be friends with that guy.
He's awesome.
Really, really super nice guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And Jamie was really a super fun woman. So anyway, you brought him up for some reason. He'd never built the houses, or
no. I wasn't gonna throw Michael under the bus. No, Michael really fought for many years to try to work on the zoning in Rhinebeck.
Right.
And their vision was to create sort of small environmental minded houses, and the zoning I think in their area was 4 acres, and they just didn't want to build 4-acre houses. That just wasn't part of their value system. But
if the zoning's 4-acre, you can instead build on 20-acre lots.
But that wasn't their. They wanted to build sort of affordable, the equivalent of affordable housing, but
sweet, I gotcha.
No, it was more environmentally minded, small properties, small houses, creating something like Rhinecliff, I'm assuming.
Right. Beautiful.
I'm ad-libbing right now, so Michael can correct.
Did they have plans for that?
Well, they did, but then the zoning never shifted. So obviously, Jamie actually built the stables.
Right. And Mike, who's now helping out with the village composting plan, which is really cool.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
Why did we bring that story up? Oh, I know why. Because so eventually, obviously, Jamie moved up here, and so we kept visiting regularly, and through,
who's we?
At this point, my husband and Maisie, and then eventually I had another children and got rid of another child, and then got rid of the husband, and so we just.
Was that a good trade?
Yeah, totally. And so we had been coming up to visit for, I don't know, 3 times a year at least, for many, many years. And we always were trying to figure out how could we move here. And just due to, complexities with jobs and things like that, we never really could figure it out, or I couldn't figure it out.
Right.
And then finally, I was freelancing for so long, and my father had passed away, and I kind of gave myself permission to ask, why do I live, in Westchester? Why am I paying, these prices in Westchester? Why don't I, follow that dream? And, I sat down with my kids. We had a little family meeting, and Maisie really wanted to leave the town that we were in. She just didn't sort of like the entitlement that was, it was sort of, we were at that point, we were living in an affluent town in Westchester, and Maisie would be thrilled at that point to move, and Aspen was agreeable. So we moved. And Maisie started in 10th grade, and Aspen started in 5th grade, and it was awesome. And
God bless you, but what an enormous undertaking.
Yeah.
With 2 teen or preteen kids to just pick up and move to this place where you knew a couple of people.
Yeah.
Hats off to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Pretty brave and ballsy, and also the logistics must have been just such a pain in the butt.
But life is full of logistics, so it's nothing is insurmountable.
Right.
So I mean, for us, I mean, really moving to Rhinebeck felt like we were moving home.
Nice.
And it was everybody settled in really quickly. So it really has been a very healing and sort of a place of abundance for, I guess, our family.
How spectacular. Did both kids go to Rhinebeck school?
Maisie graduated from Rhinebeck, and Aspen left in 8th grade.
Uh-huh. And where did Aspen go?
Aspen ended up a year in Red Hook, and then we went off to boarding school.
Oh. And how was that experience?
It was the right choice for Aspen, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Nice. Boarding school. And what was that like for you? That must have been, I mean, when I thought about sending my kids to boarding school, I was like, it broke my heart. You're like, but like, no,
Exactly.
I need to see them.
Yeah. It was a little premature that, I was like, no, that's 3 years too early.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really hard, like heartbreaking.
How far away was the boarding school?
It was about 2.5, 3 hours.
It was a decent chunk of
for sure.
travel time.
Yeah, I got a lot of miles on my car. But like I could go to like all the dance performances and, I can think the more you pay for your school, the more that they send your kids home for vacation. So I mean, actually, saw a fair amount of Aspen, which was nice. But it was I have to say the transition from being a full-time mom to being like a part-time mom was really hard. So,
Right. And Maisie was, if not gone, already fixed to leave by that point.
No, Maisie was gone in college.
Oh.
Yeah, they're 5 years apart. So.
I'm so sorry. I would have been much nicer to you had I known you were going through that.
Shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I had my dog.
Yeah. Oh, your dog.
I know. He was now passed away.
And also now you have a business that you're starting.
Do.
What the heck? What's that business?
It's called Bloem Hudson Valley.
Bloom, like Bloom?
No, Norm, it's Bloem. It's the Dutch word for bloom, but pronounced the same.
Why Dutch?
You can have a little affect on it. You can say bloom if you really.
I say that behind your back. Right? Bloom.
Of the many things you say behind my back.
Yeah, with just that one.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with this business?
So it really was sort of I kind of approached a friend of mine, Erica Beanie, who's awesome. Does not live in Rhinebeck, so you can't interview her, but you should interview her anyway. I really wanted to come up with a pop-up business. And part of the attributes that I was looking for in a business was that creative as far as like creating something, collaborative experience, obviously branding, and sustainable. And a really good friend of mine who's in Rhinebeck has a friend who does this very similar business in Louisiana. And I had brought it up to Erica as for example, this really awesome business where you, during the holiday times, you procure bulbs, amaryllis and paper whites, and flowering bulbs, and you put them into vintage containers. And she's like, oh my God, I love this idea. And I was like, well, okay, cool, let's try it. And so this was the first sort of entrepreneurial attempt. And it was way harder than I think both of us had expected, but incredibly gratifying in that, you are kind of giving a vessel a new purpose. And there's, a lot, when I say vessel, I mean,
because you put the bulbs in antique.
Yeah. So for example, everybody can't see here, but right now we have a very rusty, huge teapot that is used over like a fire. And inside of it, surrounded by moss, is a amaryllis. And you can see it's just starting to grow. So probably by February, it'll be blooming. This is for you to enjoy. So we ended up, collecting like soup tureens and glass bowls and, colored glass and, pitchers and all these just really
manner
interesting
of beautiful vessels.
Yeah. And it was super
Most of them
fun.
with some kind of gorgeous patina as well.
Yeah. Well, for sure. Just so that it gives you the sense of like, there's a story here. And like part of the excitement of this, like everybody knows that the containers that they're bringing home had a story before they got it.
Right.
And then the idea of bringing new life into that container is sort of this beautiful juxtaposition. And it was really successful, except, there were a lot of bulbs that did not find homes, which makes me sad because we were super convinced that it was going to be like mass sales. And
bulbs that didn't find home.
Yeah.
So where, if I'm a consumer and I want one of these things, where could I find it?
I picked up the last batch today, and they're no longer available unless you can contact me directly through Instagram, Bloem HV,
Bloem HV on Instagram.
Yeah. We have about 45 amaryllis bulbs looking for homes. So if anybody wants to.
So why did you pick
Discount
them all
price.
up? It was just for the holiday season?
Yeah, pretty much most people associate amaryllis and paper whites with Christmas and the sort of the holiday season. And
So there's a tradition of forcing bulbs, especially these flowers, for the holidays?
indeed,
Huh.
yeah.
And you added the twist of putting them in beautiful containers.
I wish I could say it was uniquely my idea, but it's not. There's a friend who's,
Right.
in Louisiana who started it, but she just uses silver plate. We kind of took it to the next level and really sort of embodied the sort of rustic farmhouse and sort of the Dutch heritage
Right.
of the Hudson Valleys.
And so your first season of this business is just concluded.
Just concluding.
Are you going to do it again?
Maybe. Actually, we have extra bulbs that I'm sort of keeping cold and dormant in our basement, and we're going to try to do a spring pop-up. So if anybody wants some spring bulbs, stay tuned for Bloem Hudson Valleys next launch. Yeah.
Well, that stuff in spring, of course, you have some competition
Yes.
with nature
Yes.
pushing their bulbs out of the ground.
So chances are we'll probably do early spring, so like March, April.
Uh-huh. Huh. Interesting. So what were the biggest positive surprises in this season, the first season, the maiden season of Bloem?
Oh, it really is meeting all the people along the way. So there's several phases because you end up collecting a lot of different containers, and you end up meeting just some of the most interesting people who either have had them in their basement or they do it as a business. And I go meet them in the back of parking lots of like supermarkets, and I'm like, "Hey, you got the cash?" And they're like, "I got the goods."
And where did you find these people and their containers?
So it's either Facebook Marketplace or estate sales, yard sales, everywhere and anywhere I could kind of find these things. And then also once we, had the containers and started selling them, partnering with some really just awesome stores. I got a big shout out to Hammertown being an amazing partner. They welcomed a few pop-up sales where we were able to have a table overflowing with blooms, 2 weekends, and then they had sold our products all throughout the whole season.
Right.
Yeah, and then we had a store down in Millbrook and Millerton and Hudson. I mean, it was just really amazing working with just some really amazing retailers.
But it was a lot of hours.
A lot of hours.
I mean, I remember trying to get in touch. Hey, come on, let's go out.
No.
Can't.
No.
And financially, has it made sense?
Everybody keeps telling me your first year in a business, if you break even, you're doing great.
And did you?
Oh, yeah, I definitely broke even. We were hoping that we were going to do a little bit better than breaking even. And we have some reconciliation to do with a lot of the retailers. So January will tell us.
So once a bulb has bloomed once, is it done? I mean, can you take it out and dry it out and plant it again?
Excellent question. So different answers depending. So we'll start with amaryllis. An amaryllis for sure. The amaryllis is, once it blooms, and often it has multiple blooms. So, the blooming period is quite long. And once the blooms are done, you can kind of treat it like a house plant for a little while, maybe give it some fertilizer. And then whenever you get sick of it or it decides it's done, you just trim it all up and then you just put it in the basement or the garage and just let it just sit there for 6 months. And then you bring it out probably around, mid-fall and give it a little water and it'll start coming right back.
Huh.
So paper whites, much harder to kind of duplicate that second, but it's rumored that you can do second and third and fourth, but most people generally throw them away. And the paper whites are not friendly to our zone, so our planting zone. So,
right. Which is not super important to you because you're
forcing them.
Yeah.
Inside, yeah.
And you've got a little greenhouse kind of area. A sunroom.
Sorta.
Yeah. Huh. So, let's say you sold 60% of your stock in all of the stores over the holiday season. 40% comes back and, it's blooming now. It looks great in your sunroom. Will you be able to reuse those bulbs?
Probably not.
Right.
It's not going to stop me from trying, but
Right. Yeah. And so will you take them out of the dirt and put them in the basement and then find some new dirt later and see if it works?
yeah, we've got piles of exhausted bulbs sitting in bins.
Exhausted
and,
bulbs.
Yeah.
And you have to trim them in any particular way?
Yeah, you cut them to right above the bulb.
Did you know any of this? Did you have a green thumb leading into this?
Well, I mean, greenish for sure.
yeah.
No, this was not an avoid. I mean, like we definitely kind of went in knowing the basics, but not at this scale. Like that's
You and your partner?
Yeah.
Who's also has a greenish, I'm guessing, thumb.
She definitely has she has a, actually I think we equally have green thumbs.
Uh-huh.
I have to say, like, plants love my house because my house is just so sunny. They're just happy.
And you have a lot of plants.
I do.
You've been out of town once or twice, and I've
and you have
been
been
tasked with watering the plants.
That's right.
And every single plant had a little sign, like, "Oh, this one likes its feet wet. Make sure you give it a lot." Talk to this one.
That's right.
Spritz this one. Douse this one. Give it a gallon of water. Do you have a favorite plant of those plants with the note card instructions?
Oh, the ones that I gave, those note cards were specifically meant for you.
Because you're like, Norm's got a better idiot.
Oh my God,
this
totally.
thing. Well, it worked
Good.
mostly.
Yeah, no, it totally did.
Yeah.
Any of my favorite.
That's hilarious. Did you keep the note cards?
No.
You're like, I'm never inviting you back to water my plants.
No, I'll write new note cards when I go away again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New note cards. So is there a plant in your house that you've had longest that has, takes you back to a certain point in your life? Or, all right, let's hear them.
Oh, I've got a few. I think every kitchen should have an aloe plant because aloe is amazing for burns. It's like magic. It'll heal, actually even heal cuts. So I think the aloe plant that I have, which when you get them is like the little ones that you find like in, Chinatown, which are no more than, 3 inches tall and
or
maybe
tops.
4. Yeah. So I now have one which is, I'd say, 1.5 feet wide and like uncountable amounts of, whatever stalks that come out of it. So that one is probably my oldest. But then I have this pair. I have a quite large African violet who seems to have befriended an orchid. Oh. And whenever I separate them, they don't do well. And so I have to continue putting them back together. It is the cutest thing.
I love that. Do they touch?
No, I keep them like just a few inches apart from each other, and it's the weirdest phenomenon.
And so have you tried this multiple times, separating them just to see?
Because I have friends come over and say, this room is too bright for that orchid. I'm like, okay. And then I put it into a slightly less sunny room, and it just doesn't do well. And then the African violet starts like getting all like
moping.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I put them back together and they're super happy.
Well, have you put them together in a different room?
I did over the holidays.
Were they happy together in the basement, say?
I didn't put them in the basement, but I did put them in a darker room. And they seemed to survive. Yes, they did well. I actually have to go and test that theory. I will actually try it again. But I didn't want to lose the orchid because the orchids are so beautiful.
Orchids are what?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're so sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So can you, for the aloe, can you cut off a stem and plant that and propagate a new plant?
I suppose you can. Cactuses are typically pretty easy to propagate.
And aloes in the cactus family.
I think so.
Right.
All right, now you're testing me. I didn't realize this was a test.
Yeah.
Dang.
Big quiz.
Yeah.
Because I know so much about plants, obviously. All right, here, I want to ask about some other things.
Yeah.
You work for this organization, which is called Culture Connect, is that right?
Yeah, gosh. Culture Connect. Yes. I wonder how I got involved with Culture Connect. Oh, wait. It was through you.
You're welcome. And now you're the president.
I am
Yeah.
the reluctant president.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Can you plug Culture Connect a little bit?
Sure. This is also like a test. Hey, Norm, what's our mission statement?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Come on.
I don't pay any attention
Come
to
on.
that stuff.
My presidential question to you is, what is our mission statement? Or give us your spiel.
I don't. Well, I never talk about the mission statement.
Okay, then give us your spiel.
My spiel is Culture Connect's an organization that's been around for like 25 years. Our longest running program pairs English as new or second language kids with tutors from Bard or Marist or their own high schools, help with homework skills and socialization skills, and so on. We have a recent new offshoot, which is College Connect, that helps many of these same kids who we helped like 18 to 20 years ago with college applications, which is really impossible. I mean, college applications are so difficult, and we have local professional college counselors who volunteer to help these kids, who we define as first in their family to seek higher education, get into like 4-year colleges or junior colleges or trade schools. And it's been a phenomenally successful program. We also every other year send kids to Madagascar, and we operate some arts program, which I won't go into.
Oh, please do.
No, you do that. I don't know how you tricked me into like giving you my spiel.
That's what presidents do.
You tricked
They
me
delegate.
because I don't know the mission statement.
Oh, well, you did very well. Well, Arts Connect, which is run by none other than the amazing Norm Magnusson, has 2 annual typical events. One is the Arts Crawl, which is the Veterans Day Arts Crawl, where middle schoolers go on these amazing trip all through the Hudson Valley, visiting studios and museums and galleries. And this year was no exception. Do you want to give a little highlight from this year's trip?
This year, I mean, we just got a new board member, Ben Pinder, who's like 20 years my junior, and he's got younger kids in the school and stuff, which is great. And he's a local artist and plugged into the arts scene. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to take the kids and have a little tour of Olana. And he's like, or we could go to this combination skateboard shop and art gallery in Kingston. I'm like, well, I guess. So he came in. This year was really, for me, notable for the fresh ideas that this new blood brought into the program. And it was so much fun to see this program, which I had originated, being sort of taken in a fresh and more relevant direction by this fresh and more relevant board member, Ben. So that was a highlight for me of this year's Arts Crawl.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Also, we went to the O Positive murals in Kingston, which we've done a few times on the Veterans Day Arts Crawl. And the O Positive people, amazing. They're so good. And the murals they put on are so beautiful. And, as the people who run the festival and also are docents for this group of middle schoolers, spectacular people, Amy and Lindsay.
Wait, was your new murals, were they up at that time or not?
They were.
Oh.
So we saw some murals that I had painted as well.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
No.
Which has nothing to do with Culture Connect?
No, you need to get your
or
own
me?
show, Coleman. Yeah, look at you looking at the clock. Well, that's
like,
not very gracious.
Really, it's time to go.
Yeah, 4 minutes left. I'm going to grill you. So Culture Connect, you've been with Culture Connect for like 8, 9...
I think 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's that been for you?
Oh, well, first of all, I mean, as you obviously just summarized, it's an amazing organization. And it has been a pure delight to sit on the board with all the various, board members and also staff and people who've worked with us, and especially the volunteers. It's really just been a great way to, keep up, connected with the community in a really meaningful way.
Right.
And it's a great place to welcome new ideas. Like we're not stuck in, an old route mission. Not that any other nonprofits are. I'm not dissing anybody. I can't think of anybody who's doing that. But it's it's been such a refreshing place to be.
Right. And you were relatively new to Rhinebeck when you joined the board.
I did. I was.
Was that very helpful in sort of integrating you into the community?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I do. I mean, like part of, moving to a community when your kids are older is that, you have to be more creative as to where you find
How old
connections.
were your kids when you moved here?
So Aspen was 10 and Maisie was, I guess, 15. And so absolutely.
So was Maisie a freshman or a junior or a sophomore?
Sophomore.
Okay.
So maybe she was 16, 15, 16. So, I mean, it was a great way to meet different people and to learn what's going on in the town. I mean, that has really been like the biggest gift is just sort of, staying connected in meaningful ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. That's spectacular. And so how was your experience in Rhinebeck, Ben? When you moved here, you knew nearly nobody, I'm guessing. Jamie and a handful of other people.
Right. That is true. I knew, when I first moved here, Jamie was well. And so Jamie was very gracious in introducing me to people. And I met some incredible people along the way who then introduced me to other people. And then also I got deeply involved in the tennis community pretty quick. So then I ended up making a lot of friends through tennis. So I've really, have enjoyed sort of the unfolding of making friendships as an adult.
Right. It's helpful when there are kids, even if they're older.
Yeah.
To meet sort of the parents of their friends and become friends with them or not or whatever. All right. Well, guess what? We're running out of time. I want to ask about a few other things because, I did look at your sort of resume.
Oh, yeah.
Getting ready for this, and it's really just amazing. So much stuff. You worked as a creative director for National Geographic, 13 years at Nickelodeon.
Oh, that's where we started. I was starting with my first job, and my first job was Nickelodeon.
Oh, and that's the job that your kids are like, oh, I want a first job like that one.
Totally. We had, Jerry Laybourne would call a monthly meeting and, Jerry being a local celebrity here and an amazing person as well.
Yeah.
She would host, our monthly staff meetings, and she would, bring beer and cocktails. Not cocktails, but definitely we'd always have beer and, noshes, and it was just great.
And how did you get that gig? What were you doing there?
I had just moved back from Wisconsin.
Madison.
Yeah. And I got to make a very long story short. And I had gone to a car accident. So I had been healing and I had a broken arm, and I was supposed to start my job searching, but I couldn't start a new job with a broken arm. So a girlfriend had called me up who worked at Nickelodeon, and she's like, oh, my housemate or my office mate is looking for an intern for, about 2 weeks. Are you free? And I'm like, yes, I'm free.
So sweet.
And that was the beginning of just amazing opportunities, one after the other.
This beautiful path in your life.
Yeah.
That eventually led you right here.
Right here.
You keep looking at the clock.
We're running out of time.
4 seconds left. Do you think you'll survive?
I will.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's been wonderful for Alice Coleman to finally show up and chat with us on radiofreeradcliffe.org. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Norm.
Thanks again, Alice.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks, Matt, for being here as the engineer.